Everyone goes through their first time trying a class on TF2, and everyone remembers some being much harder to learn than others. So rather than talk about how hard a class is to master, I want to give a list of what I believe to be the best class order for beginner players to try out. So let's start off our list of most difficult classes to pick up, starting out with number 9, the Heavy. When it comes to lowest skill floor, Heavy has to take the cake. No matter what loadout you're using, chances are you'll be performing the same job no matter what primary weapon you choose. He has the gun that shoots bullets, the gun that shoots bigger bullets, the one that shoots slightly less bullets. You get the idea. Chances are you don't even need to worry about your secondary weapon since the minigun is usually the better choice unless somebody wants to eat a sandwich. Heavy is without a doubt the most straightforward class. The skill behind Heavy stems largely from positioning, as an out-of-position Heavy can die almost immediately. But all classes need to position, alongside the mechanical nuances to master such as rocket jumping or air blasting. Since Heavy's job is largely to point and shoot, this puts him in last place for the most difficult to learn, but he's definitely first place for the easiest. Don't get me wrong, this is TF2, which means the skill ceiling for each character in this game is high, including the Heavy. He just happens to have the lowest. Coming in at number 8 is the Pyro. Thanks to the stereotypes of this class, Pyro comes in as the second easiest. I need a big disclaimer here at the start of this one, as I don't want the Pyro mains to be too upset. I believe Pyro has an incredibly high skill ceiling, and with many different loadouts and mechanical prowess required for high tier Pyro plays, those just blow my mind. I can't even claim to do those, and the gameplay that you're watching should probably confirm that. With that said, it's difficult to deny just how low the skill floor is for the class. Pyro requires much less aim than most classes, and his above average health pool gives him a bit more room to get reckless. Even a brand new player can hold W and mouse 1 and turn a corner into an enemy medic before they know what's even happened. Better yet, some guns like the Backburner or God forbid the Phlogistic can turn this tactic into a game-winning strategy. Pyro is a great class with a wide variety of loadouts, but the stock experience is a great way for any new player to learn TF2. Slightly harder than the Heavy and requires the use of the secondary weapon, but still something a new player can see results on. Next up at number 7 is the Soldier. I think the first 3 classes on my list are all great first time picks, but I'm placing Soldier as the lattermost of the 3 due to a few more mechanics behind him. His primary is a projectile, which can definitely take a bit of practice for new players that are used to hit scan guns. Luckily, the generous splash damage that comes with firing an explosive means even a rocket that's slightly off can make an impact. With his secondary being the most reliable secondary in the game and his 200 health pool being second only to the Heavy, Soldier is one of the best classes for a new coming player with an infinitely high skill ceiling that rewards returning customers. Up at number 6 is the Sniper. I know this low placing might surprise a few of you, but hear me out. Just because the majority of snipers in your game are bad does not mean the Sniper is difficult to understand. In fact, most of Sniper's skill floor is made up of raw mechanical aim, something that transfers incredibly well from one FPS to the next. If someone is good at CSGO, chances are they'll be good at Sniper. If someone is good at Call of Duty, chances are they'll do well on Sniper. Unlike a minigun or a rocket launcher, however, the sniper rifle requires a rather precise shot, and that kind of mechanical skill alone can make the class much more difficult than the earlier ones down the list. Still, if you can click on heads, Sniper will be the easiest to pick up and play compared with the rest of the list. Or you could always just body shot people with the Sydney Sleeper. Right in the middle of this list is going to be the Medic. Many others have written off Medic as one of the easiest, if not the easiest class to play, but placing Medic at number 5 should make my disagreement with that notion obvious. I don't think Medic is easy to play, with the biggest reason being everyone wants you dead. When you're playing a class that is the first to be targeted by the enemy team, it really helps to know what each class is capable of so that you can avoid it. A new player won't know where the major sniper sightlines are, how to avoid being bombed by a soldier, or just knowing how to check behind themselves every now and again. Yeah, Medic doesn't require the aim that some classes need, but medics do need to stay alive in order to heal their teammates. The sheer amount of game sense required to stay alive means I'm placing Medic right in the middle. Not the hardest class by any means, but it helps to have some experience under your belt before you try this class out. Now for the fourth most difficult class, and that's going to be the Engineer. I feel like a lot of people wrongly assume Engineer is mindless, but he seriously takes a lot of game knowledge to be effective. If you place your sentry too far ahead, it gets wiped out in an instant. If you placed it too far back, you might as well have not built one at all. If all of your buildings were sapped, what do you prioritize on building up first? Is that suspicious looking scout that's running too slow a spy trying to destroy your nest? Probably, but you get the idea. More than anything else, I considered the perspective of a new player on Engineer when I was evaluating his position on this list. The list of buildings, paired with upgrading, metal management, and weapon choice make for a surprisingly overwhelming experience, even if he is one of the less mechanically demanding characters. That brings us into the top 3, with Demo Man taking the 3rd place spot. We've all gotten kills and been killed by a stray roller here or there, but don't let that hatred of some good old demo spam affect your perception of Demo's real skill floor here. His projectiles all shoot in an arc, he has no hit scan secondary, and he's a class that's all about area denial. If that doesn't require some game sense and experience to pick up and play, I don't know what does. Now, I'd be hard pressed to say that a mid-range demo spammer doesn't have the easy life, as a demo left unchecked can do incredible amounts of damage. However, once another class gets up in your face, God forbid a scout, you better be really good at hitting those direct pipes. Did you miss that first one? Chances are you're probably dead. I think that's what really puts Demo into the top 3 for me. At a distance, no one feels like a real threat outside of a sniper, but as soon as someone is right in your face, landing that direct grenade becomes a clutch or kick moment. A skilled Demo might have some well-placed sickies in preparation for this, or maybe he's just really good at hitting directs, but remember what I'm looking at is the skill floor here. If he had a secondary hit scan like the soldier, actually he'd pretty much be a soldier with a droopy rocket launcher at that point. Never mind. Coming in at 2nd place, and one I remember struggling to learn personally, is the Scout. The Scout is an extremely underwhelming character to the untrained eye. He has a shotgun as his primary, something a lot of classes have as their secondary, and I remember picking up the character not understanding why he was considered good. Of course, the more I played, the more I found myself being absolutely wrecked by good scouts, until I finally realized that the scout's most powerful weapon wasn't anything equipable, it was his mobility. That alone is what makes the scout so difficult to learn, as you have to master that mobility just to stay alive. And with only 125 health, you better make sure you know how to run. Properly utilizing your double jumps, keeping your movement unpredictable, and managing what little health you have, all paired with the fact that he requires great aim at high speeds in order to even deal any damage, makes for a very, very difficult learning curve. If you've been paying attention to the list, you already know what the number 1 spot is, and that's going to be the Spy. The one I think tops the skill floor list of every list that's out there. Spy comes with all of the learning curve that Engineer has, all while being thrown into the backline of the enemy team. The disguise kit alone can be intimidating, as a new player might constantly find themselves wondering why certain disguises work better than others. Until you disguise as a class, you might not know that your run speed will be reduced to their default speed and not yours. Unless you disguise as Scout, then you'll only be running at the default speed of the Spy, which could really make you stick out like a sore thumb. And to make the learning curve even higher, you can disguise as one of your own team for some even bigger mind games. I'll be honest, I didn't even know you could do that until a good year or so into me even playing this game. Once you have picked a good disguise, now you need to be able to blend in without making yourself extremely obvious. If someone on the enemy team makes eye contact, you need to avoid the urge to just stop and back up, otherwise it might be a bit obvious that you are not playing on their side. Plus, there are just a multitude of small things to know and split-second decisions to make. Spy is difficult. He requires game knowledge, class knowledge, positioning, timing, good aim, the list just goes on. While some classes might be harder to master, Spy is undoubtedly the hardest class to pick up and play. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you. Seriously, thank you for tuning in. If you really enjoyed it, please take those 4 seconds to click that subscribe button. Every click goes a long way for me and really helps me to keep these videos coming. If you disagree with any of my positions on this list, please comment below, as I just love talking about TF2 and I'll be replying to every comment that I can. But as always, thank you for watching, and I still have no idea how to end a video.